If you walk out that door, our marriage is over." The words tore from my throat, raw with anger, trembling with fury, meant to wound, to jolt her into staying. But as they hung in the air, I already feared their weight. Sarah stood still, fingers clenched around the edge of her coat. Her eyes shimmered, heavy with unshed tears. But behind the gloss was something resolute, quiet, and immovable. Months of unresolved tension, simmering silences, clipped words, and missed chances had finally boiled over, and I had lit the final match. I expected her to stop, to loosen her grip on the coat, to let it fall from her hands, to cry, to scream, to say she hated me but didn't mean it. I thought she'd sink to her knees in exhaustion and apologize or beg for me too. I thought anything, but what came next? She turned the doorknob with a painful slowness, stepped into the waiting dark, and pulled the door closed behind her. The sound wasn't a slam. It was quiet, soft, even, final. The silence that followed was unbearable. It was not the kind that gives peace, but the kind that amplifies every creak, every heartbeat. I collapsed onto the couch, arms folded tight over my chest like they could hold in what had already slipped away. My fury still flickered beneath the surface, but it no longer had direction. I kept my eyes on the door, certain it would open. Again within minutes, an hour passed, then another. I sent her a text, no reply. I called, straight to voicemail. This wasn't like Sarah. She didn't just vanish, not without a word. Or maybe it was like her now. Maybe she had changed, quietly, steadily, in ways I never noticed, because I never looked closely enough. Sleep was a stranger that night. I sat upright until dawn, ears straining for the sound of a key in the lock, mind replaying my own words. Again and again, they'd burst from me in anger. Yes, but had I meant them? Maybe part of me had. Or maybe I just wanted to win the argument, to reclaim some illusion of control. But those words once spoken couldn't be taken back. They weren't echoes. They were engraved. Morning light crept across our bedroom floor, brushing over the untouched side of the bed. Still made, still perfect. Her closet hung eerily empty, half her clothes gone, her laptop missing. Her passport, too. A cold pressure clamped around my chest. This wasn't a night out to clear her head. This was something she had prepared. For, whether in the span of a week or in the silence of the years, I stopped listening. She had been planning her exit. I reached out to her family. They were polite but evasive. Her friends offered carefully chosen words. She's okay. She just needs space. But no details, no answers. Finally, her closest friend, Lisa, picked up my call. Her voice was tight, but honest. "She's safe, but she's not ready to talk to you. You hurt her, more than you realize." Before I could respond, the line went dead. In the silence that followed, I did what I should have done years ago. I started listening, not to anyone else, but to the quiet between us that I had ignored. I retraced our past, not the milestones, not the anniversaries or vacations, but the ordinary days, the ones where she waited for me to ask how her day was, the ones where she sat beside me on the couch and I didn't so much as touch her hand, the nights she reached for me and I rolled away, all the times she tried to speak and I shut her down with silence or scorn. My work had consumed me. My pride had built walls. My resentment had made her invisible. Nearly a month passed before I heard from her again. It wasn't a phone call. It was a letter. Her handwriting soft, slanted, painfully familiar, covered each line. My hands trembled as I read. She was staying with her sister in another city. She hadn't decided on divorce, but she needed time. She needed space. She wrote that my words from that night weren't the only ones that had cut her. There were countless others, smaller and colder. Over the years, the slow erosion of affection, the steady draining of warmth. I hadn't just failed her. I had neglected the fragile thread of connection we once held tightly between us. The letter left me shattered. For the first time, I saw clearly the damage I'd done, not in rage, but in absence, in forgetting how to care, in expecting her love to be limitless, immune to my failures. That week, I started therapy, not with some grand plan to win her back, but because I couldn't keep living in the echo of my own mistakes. I had become the very man I swore I'd never be: emotionally distant, rigid, unreachable. A mirror of my father. The therapist didn't offer easy solutions. Instead, I was forced to peel back layers I had hidden under ambition and ego. I saw how I had shut down the moment tension arrived, how I'd dismissed emotion as weakness. After a few months, I wrote her back, not to plead, not to make promises. I wrote to tell her the truth, what I'd learned, what I was still learning. I apologized not just for that night, but for all the times I'd failed to see her standing right in front of me, asking to be loved. 2 weeks later, another letter came. Her tone was careful, but not cold. She thanked me for my honesty. She said she, too, had started therapy. She wasn't ready to come back, not yet. But my words had touched something. They gave her pause. They gave her hope. We began exchanging letters, slowly at first, thoughtful, deliberate. Then we began to speak on the phone. The calls were hesitant. There were long silences, some painful, others peaceful. Eventually, we agreed to meet. It was awkward, quiet, and yet, something warm flickered beneath the discomfort, like the glow of a fire long thought extinguished. We didn't speak in dramatic apologies or sweeping declarations. We spoke plainly. We listened. We saw each other for the first time in what felt like years. It took a full year before we even considered rebuilding what we'd broken. But when we did it differently. We didn't try to pick up where we left off. We built something new carefully, intentionally. We learned to pause, to ask, to answer without anger. We made space for softness, for mistakes, for healing. Looking back on that night when the door closed and she vanished into the dark, I no longer see it as the end of our marriage. I see it as the night something dormant finally shattered, a breaking that had to happen. Because only in that silence, only in that absence, did I finally hear the truth. And sometimes that's where real love begins, not in the comfort, but in the reckoning.